Welcome back to Finding New Films. Today's episode 27, and I am joined again today by my dad, Jeff. Welcome.
Thanks for having me again.
Thanks for being here. Today we watched Wes Anderson's first film, Bottle Rocket, from 1996. This is my choice. I chose this path. Nevertheless, we watched Bottle Rocket, and the reason behind that was because I had never seen this movie, and Wes Anderson is top 3 filmmakers for me. Just really love the symmetry and the cutesy style. I love cutesy movies and stuff like that. So, that was a lot of inspiration with that. And I'd never seen this movie, and I had heard that it was not in his signature style. So I've always been interested in that aspect of it. So here we are.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts coming into this movie?
Well, really, I had no idea what the plot was or anything like that. I'd heard of the movie and I knew it was like a cult classic. I was a big fan of the Owen brothers, the Wilson brothers. So, I was already interested, and I know that him and Wes Anderson kind of got their start together, Owen, and then, so I was just intrigued already, and then I read the plot, a little short plot right before I started watching the movie, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to love this. I can already tell.
Yeah, that was another thing after our last episode is you told me what your pocket of movies or the cutoff for movies for you where it just kind of starts to feel like you don't care for it at a certain point after a certain era. So I looked specifically in the 90s for stuff that we could watch because I know that's when you started to fall in love with movies or really take interest. No? Am I wrong?
No, it was in my college years, early 90s. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
I had, this movie hasn't been on my radar, even though I was into movies. That's probably the time that I was going to the movies the most.
Yes.
Right then. And it probably wasn't until Grand Budapest came out and the Royal Tenenbaums maybe that I started looking at other stuff that Wes Anderson had done. So
Right.
this is really cool. I think this movie showcases Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson's writing at a very early raw stage, and you can just see how it builds from this. So that was really cool to kind of see masterpieces that these guys have done, and then kind of go back and see where the roots of it was. Is.
Yeah, I think I don't think Luke is much of a writer, but he's a really, really, really good actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a sympathetic babyface character in he blindly robbed people in this movie. He robbed his own mother in this movie.
Yeah.
But you still feel endeared to him by his relationship with Inez and how much he cares about her. So that's always been interesting too with Wes Anderson, of having people that have very questionable or even very plainly bad morality and still having them feel endearing in a sweet way.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting.
Well, and I think the thing of it is and now that you bring it up, there's a lot of characters in Wes Anderson movies that have somewhat of a questionable past, and the movie is about their path to redemption. You know what I mean? I think of Gene Hackman in the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
And he was just an ass
Yeah.
all his life, and he spent the end of his life when he's at his most humble to try to make amends and mend bridges, so to speak. It's he's not asking to be part of their lives fully again as the dad, the estranged dad, but he just wants everybody to be cool with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this one, he ends up in jail, and there's not really he's just kind of laughing about the fact that oh, let's escape. Like, and that was really funny. Little tidbit in the writing at the end there. And just for it to be a way for him to sarcastically kid around with them, to be like, oh, I'm still like this. And he's like, no, I'm getting better. And then the comment about the nut house. It was really fun movie. But we need to get through the credits and the plot and shit theme, then we can keep talking about that.
Can I ask you a question real quick before I forget about it? And I hate to take you off track, but was it like explained at the beginning that Owen and Luke Wilson's characters were in the like mental hospital together?
No,
because that was like a revelation from that joke at the end. It basically tells you how because there was really no basis set for how they were related other than they've known each other for a while.
The girl Grace says that, like, his little sister Grace says that, like, she knows who Dignan is. Like, Dignan is an old friend of his, but he's so dumb that he is insistent that he breaks him out of the mental hospital. So he was not in the hospital with them.
Okay, well, because he makes that joke at the end. It's like, I went from the nut house to the jailhouse.
Yeah. No. The joke at the end was, who would have thought you would be in the nut house and I'd end up in the jailhouse?
I misunderstood.
Yeah. I think it actually is written in the plot synopsis that I found.
Okay. Oh, cool.
I
shouldn't have interrupted.
Yeah, Dignan says to Anthony, "Isn't it funny that you used to be in the nut house and now I'm in jail?"
Oh, you used to be. Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been neat, though.
Yeah, I think I've been a little on the nose. Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy how yeah, there is no fun. That is just life. Isn't it crazy how I was in an insane asylum and then they put me in jail? Like, no, that is just kind of the order of operations in the United States.
I thought you were making Owen Wilson nose joke.
No. I was making a comment on our medical system.
That's kind of like the chink in the armor. I'm sorry.
You can get out. No, you can. Okay, so first, we're gonna do the credits, and then we're gonna do the plot synopsis. So the credits are as follows: Bottle Rocket was released in 1996 through Columbia Pictures and Gracie Films. The runtime on the film is 92 minutes. The writers in the film are Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson, who is credited as Owen C. Wilson. The director in this film is Wes Anderson as well. The editor is David Moritz. The music is done by Mark Mothersbaugh. The camera is done, as always, on most Wes Anderson films by Robert Yeoman. The star of the film, sorry, this is going to be the cast. I've kind of stopped doing the stars. I'm just going to do the cast now. So, Luke Wilson as Anthony Adams. I have Owen Wilson as Dignan. We have Andrew Wilson as Future Man, their third brother. I don't know if you realize that, but Future Man. No, Future Man. So, Bob's big brother.
Oh, okay.
The, like, really posh, like, perky,
that's the
preppy guy. Yeah, that's the brother.
I thought he's enormous.
Yeah, he's massive. They're pretty tall too. They're like 6 foot. Nevertheless, Robert Musgrave is Bob Mapplethorpe. Future Man is also, his real name is Ron Mapplethorpe. James Caan as Abe Henry. Lumi Cavazos as Inez. Donnie Caicedo as Rocky. I have Kumar Pallana as Kumar, and then Jim Pons as Applejack.
I cannot look at that dude without thinking about a 4-year-old virgin.
What, Kumar?
Yeah.
Is he in there?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he works in the video store.
No, I don't think that's the same guy. I think Kumar, honestly, legitimately was just a local actor that they found, like an old guy that they found. I love I loved Kumar. I'll talk. I have notes about Kumar later on, so we'll talk about it.
All right.
Um. So next we have a plot synopsis, and I'm just gonna be straight up. It's pretty long, so bear with me.
It's complicated.
It is pretty complicated, so just bear with me. This is for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. If you've already seen this movie, you can skip past this. But if you're someone who likes to just watch movie reviews instead of watching the movies, because those type of people exist, I've actually found out. Then this is for you. If you've already seen this movie, you can skip this. It's in the description, and in the if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the little thumbnail or little bar, the little scroll bar where you can, yeah, you'll figure it out. I have faith in you. In Arizona, Dignan quote unquote, rescues his friend Anthony from a voluntary psychiatric unit where he has been staying for self-described exhaustion. Dignan has an elaborate escape plan and has developed a 75-year plan that he shows Anthony. The plan is to pull off several heists and then meet up with a Mr. Henry, a landscaper and part-time criminal known to Dignan. As a practice heist, the two friends break into Anthony's family's house, stealing specific items from a previously agreed list. Afterward, critiquing the heist, Dignan reveals that he took a pair of earrings not specified on the list. This upsets Anthony as he had purchased the earrings for his mother as a gift and specifically left them on the list. Anthony visits his little sister at her school and asks her to return the earrings to his mother. Dignan recruits Bob Mapplethorpe as a getaway driver because he is the only person they know with a car. The three of them buy a gun and return to Bob's house to plan their next heist, which will be at a local bookstore. The group bickers as Dignan struggles to describe his intricate plan. The group steals a small sum of money from the bookstore and goes, quote, on the lam, unquote, stopping to stay at a motel. Anthony meets Inez, one of the motel maids, and the two spark a romantic relationship despite their language barrier. Inez speaks little English, and Anthony barely speaks any Spanish. Excuse me. My voice went out. Jesus.
Beverage break.
My throat went so dry. Bob learns that his marijuana crop back home has been discovered by the police and that his older brother has been arrested. He leaves in his car the following day to help his brother without telling Dignan. Before leaving the motel themselves, Anthony gives Dignan an envelope to give to Ine. Dignan delivers it to her while she is cleaning her room, not knowing that the envelope has most of his and Anthony's money inside. Ine does not open the envelope and hugs Dignan to say goodbye. As Dignan is leaving, Ine asks an English-speaking male friend of hers to chase after him and tell him that she loves Anthony. When he delivers the message, he says, quote, tell Anthony I love him, unquote. Dignan fails to realize he is speaking for Ine and does not deliver the message. Dignan discovers a dilapidated but functional Alfa Romeo Spider, and he and Anthony continue with the 75-year plan that they had created. The car breaks down eventually, and Anthony reveals that the envelope Dignan had given to Ine contained the rest of the money that they had. They have a confrontation and go their separate ways. Narrating a letter to his sister, Anthony says he and Bob have settled into a routine back at home that is keeping him busy. Dignan, who has joined Mr. Henry's gang, tracks Anthony down and they reconcile. Dignan invites him to a heist with Mr. Henry, which he accepts on the condition that Bob is allowed in too. The trio meet the eccentric Mr. Henry and plan to rob a safe at a cold storage facility. He becomes a role model for them, standing up to Bob's abusive brother and tutoring Dignan on success. He invites the trio to a party at his house and visits the group at the Mapplethorpes, which he compliments. Anthony learns of Ine's love for him and contacts her via phone. Her English has improved and they rekindle their relationship. The group conducts their heist at the cold storage facility with Applejack and Kumar, accomplices from Mr. Henry's landscaping company. The plan quickly falls apart with Kumar unable to crack the safe and Bob accidentally firing his gun, which in turn triggers a cardiac event with Applejack. As the police arrive, Dignan has locked himself out of the escape van and is arrested and brutalized by the police. At the same time as the crew are doing their heist, Mr. Henry loads furniture from Bob's house into a truck. Later Bob Anthony and Bob visit Dignan in prison and tell him about Mr. Henry robbing Bob's house. While Bob and Anthony are saying their goodbyes, Dignan begins rattling off an escape plan and telling his friends to get into position for a getaway. After a tense moment, the two realize that Dignan is joking, and Dignan says to Anthony, quote, "Isn't it funny that you used to be in the nut house and now I'm in jail?" as he walks back into the prison. And just to get it out of the way, I'll go ahead and read the themes so we don't have to keep hearing my voice for too much longer. So I have arrogance, autonomy, chaos and order, crime, dedication, facing reality, failure, family, fate, fear, friendship, humor, identity, ignorance, illusion of power, individuality, innocence, jealousy, the lack of common sense, leadership, loyalty, morality, peer pressure, temptation, wealth, youth. Sorry, I said that last one a little low. So yeah, that was Bottle Rocket. They forget to mention throughout the movie that Owen Wilson is shooting bottle rockets off at random points in time. And that is probably why the movie is called Bottle Rocket.
He likes to see him go down the road.
Is that what he says in the movie?
No, he's outside the window shooting him down the road.
Okay.
I'm just making the assumption.
You're just an imprint. I hear you. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. This movie made me laugh out loud a lot. It's like right up my alley as far as comedy style goes. It's just vague enough and just outside the box. I don't want to say outside the box because that's a little pretentious, but I don't know. It's like it's a zany comedy, but the things that they're doing are like actually really bad. You know, they're like pointing guns at these poor bookstore people. They have no reason to be robbing a bookstore. Why they think bookstores make a lot of money? Like all those things combined, but at the end of this thing, you can still be like, those guys, you know. And I love the fact that they're like reveling in the fact that like, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
And it's like Bob has no possessions anymore. They've robbed him blind, and then Owen Wilson is in prison, and like nobody's in a better position from where they started. In fact, they're all in a worse spot.
I don't know,
but
Anthony is in love. He's with Inez now. He seems like he kind of like got his life together.
I mean, at the expense of his two friends. Yeah, like that's my thing. Is like there's a super. Yeah, I guess that can. But that's my thing with Wes's movies is there is always a moral gray area. You know,
and you know the thing about it, like all the like the one thing that his movies, even though there's like kind of like a fairy tale facade to it all, like if there's any like shenanigans or like criminal activity or anything like that, the way he presents it is like so real. Like all the anxiety, like if you're not used to doing that type of things, like how you would be scared or easily forget or mess up to do something. It's not just this movie, but a lot of movies. I mean, it's so real. And another thing that I found out about, you know, or realized while watching this movie is like, he's so incredible. He's almost like, well, he does a really good job of just giving you a whisper of information about a character. And it's like, seems to be placed at such a well, you know, perfect spot, like on about something that's going on, and it like teaches you something. It could just be a sentence, but it tells you something about the character's past.
Yeah.
And it's said in a spot where it's relevant, and it's like so seamless. It's just like you watch a Wes Anderson movie for like 30, 45 minutes, and then you're like, intriguingly fascinated with all the characters, and they haven't really given you that much information, but you feel like, I know this guy,
Yeah,
I already know him.
I agree. He's definitely one of the best writers as far as character building is concerned. Whether that's through visual metaphors or it's through, I mean, his visual metaphors have only gotten more and more and more immense. I mean, getting back into watching, saying getting back into watching his movies and watching this movie is not really a correct thing to say because this isn't really watching his movies. I said it, I think, a few weeks ago, maybe, or a week and a half. I don't remember. But on one of the episodes recently of Self Tapes, I was talking about how I think it was on the El Mariachi episode that I watched Robert Rodriguez's first movie. Just stuff like this is, I like watching guys' first movies and girls' first movies because just like it shows you who they are more than anything. It shows their vulnerability more than anything. They're all the most vulnerable versions of themselves. And then from there, when you watch someone's movies, you can kind of wash away that air of pretension that you may have assumed from them in the past because you can relate to them further. Like you can relate to them easier when you've watched their first movies because you're like, okay, well, I understand where you've come from. So I think it's easier for me to swallow, you know, I don't know, some guy going on to a video and being like, yes, we did this because we needed to make this work, and this actor was being difficult, and we just needed this to work. I can understand it more when I've seen their first movie, I think.
I forgot who said it, but there was someone recently I heard that said that an artist, when they're no longer are starving,
Yeah,
are no longer artists.
yeah, because they're
Yeah,
doing it because they're getting paid.
yeah, exactly.
It's,
So
they're getting a paycheck.
I don't think that's wholeheartedly true, but
It's not the
I think when
It's
you're
more
talking
of a
about
spectrum.
honesty,
It's
yeah,
not as black and white. It's a spectrum for sure.
yeah, you
You
get
might
more
get
of the
a
honesty in early stuff.
Yeah, if somebody thinks they're worth 10 million and they can only get 5, they're going to give 50% of themselves and you're going to get $5 million worth of work from them. Now, a lot of us sitting here and even me saying that right now feels like, wow, I will take $5 million to make a movie. Um, but, you know, a lot of these people have to understand what they're worth, and um, I think that's a big struggle that's going on right now in Hollywood because they used to be so protected by if the ticket sales weren't great, the DVDs were gonna come, and now the DVD sales don't come, and the streaming services are like, we're not paying you residuals. And it's like, well, then we're not acting. Like, I'm sorry. I don't really understand what's so hard to understand about that. Is like these people are making a lot of money from residuals, and you're basically now telling them, like, yeah, but you're not important. It's like, well, if I'm not important, then who is? You know?
There's a
Um,
lot of things with technology and CGI that are coming in, and I'm not saying it's bad because they've made some fantastic movies, but I think we're losing the honesty of film, and I think the bottom line for why we do any of this is that there's stories to be told, and the best way to do it is through conversation, and that's why. This movie's 30 years old, but it's a brand new movie to me. But this is like the most refreshing movie I've seen in a while.
me too.
And it's just a good story. I mean, it was so limited. You could tell budget wise, how the scope was so
It's
limited.
filmed all around Dallas.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a beautiful little movie. I mean, the way it's shot. I mean, it's shot around warehouses and stuff like that. And I mean, and it's shot beautifully. I mean, it's so well crafted. It's just a cute little movie. I mean, it's nothing anything like that it has any huge message, but it's just this neat little package you can put in your pocket. And I mean, it was just really refreshing all around
Yeah, it's got super crazy rewatchability.
to me.
It'll be definitely a movie that I can just throw on. It's definitely gonna be a movie that I recommend to people. Um,
I just wanted the last 20 minutes of the movie I could watch over and over.
yeah, The heist going crazy. Oh my god! I will talk about the Kumar thing later
Yeah.
because it's in my notes. But let's start from the beginning, I guess, with our thoughts. So like the scene where Dignan is like making him escape from the hospital
Mm-hmm.
is the funniest thing. Uh, it's so funny. It's such a funny scene, and he's crawling out of the hospital. He's got a one-story drop that he has to do, and um he's talking to the doctor, and he's like, "Hey, I'm ready to leave," and then
Doctor
the
notices
doctor,
that he's
yeah,
got sheets tied out the window. And he's like, Anthony is like checking himself
yeah,
voluntarily out of a volunteer hospital, but he's got sheets dangling all the way to the ground.
he's like, "What's that about?" And he's like, I just got this friend that's insistent on breaking me out. So I have to escape. And then he gets out, into the courtyard, walks around, says goodbye to everyone. and then he rounds the bushes, finally gets
It's Dickman's
Dickman.
still on the walkie-talkie creeping down, and
Yeah.
he's just walking through the courtyard telling everybody, see you
It's like
later.
watching him walk through the courtyard and everything. And then
And he
he
still thinks,
he turns the corner to him, gets there to where Dignan is, and is like, "Hey, what's up?" And the doctor starts pulling all the sheets back in through the window. And he goes, "Oh, you paid off a janitor. Nice thinking."
it is that head of psychology.
Yeah, it's just the doctor being like, "All right."
I love what the doctor said. He's like, the doctor says, all right, just make it fast because it's not a good look.
Yeah. Uh,
And you
really
learn
good.
a lot about Anthony's character too at that point because his doctor is like, I know you're fine, dude. You're just going through like some bad stuff or whatever. But he's also, you learn that Anthony is a giver or someone that goes,
Wants to please everyone,
yeah, he's a people pleaser and he's someone who's like a caregiver too.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. It was
And that's the
insightful.
opening scene.
Yeah, it's really insightful as well as being really just comedic and overall just humorous. It was really fun. Um, I really enjoyed the part with them acting like two actors after the first burglary. They walk through and meticulously burglarize a house with a list of items that they're allowed to burglarize. Obviously, one gets taken that's not supposed to, but they get into the diner and they're just like talking to each other, and it's like two actors having just gotten out of the scene, and they're like, "Oh my god, you did such a good job," and they're just like, "Yeah, man, if we can keep going like this, I mean, the sky's the limit for us." And they're just like, and the amount of optimism that they're talking with about being burglars, burglars is really funny.
I think, it's, I might be bringing this up too early, but I could never quite get, I don't think, Luke Wilson's character, Anthony,
Mm-hmm.
whether he was, I mean, Dignan is obviously a freaking dolt, He reminds me so much of a guy I went to high school. He's not stupid.
Right.
He's just an idiot. I mean, he's just, his line of reasoning and thought, and, he's not a popular guy,
Yeah.
and he's probably that nerd, but is super confident about himself. He reminds me, I'm not going to mention his name, but a guy I went to high school. I mean,
We were having such a good time talking that we weren't watching the clock, and we ran out of time. But yeah, you were leaving off where you left off is it reminds you of a kid that you went to high school with.
yeah, I mean, what I was saying, this guy was just, like I said, he wasn't stupid, but he was just a complete idiot, or what, in terms of his logic and his line of thinking. I mean, he was just constantly riddled with bad ideas, and how he came to those ideas about why people didn't like him or what was going on was just insane.
Right.
So there was a part of insanity. It's a delusion of grandeur. I mean, he was just like the confident nerd that, like, no matter how much he was picked on or whatever, he's just rolling it out.
It's somebody who would like interact with someone for one time and be like, okay, well, I guess we're best friends now, and it's like, no, like no, we're not. Like, we're not best friends.
What I'm saying is, though, it just seems like Anthony and Bob were just like, well, Bob was his own thing, but Anthony, I mean, obviously he was affluent, and I'm not sure Dignan was as affluent as him and Bob were. Yeah, and that's the main group of the three. But it seems like Anthony was just lazy, or just bored, and that was his big thing. He wasn't stupid. He was just unmotivated.
And impressionable. I just think it's really just.
It's like anybody that came by that had like an idea that seemed remotely. I was like, yeah, let's do that. I mean,
just a really naive guy. Yeah, just a really naive, bored, lost person. So.
But he has some problems with his because he's not a big consequences guy.
Yeah.
He's just a free thinker kind of, but he doesn't like consider consequences. None of the people in this movie consider consequences whatsoever.
I think Wilson does for like about 5 minutes in the movie, and then he's like, I'm I really enjoyed how they made Bob's character audition for, like, he was trying to make Bob audition for Getaway Driver, and he was like, well, I'm like the only one with a car, so like, I kind of have to be the driver. And he was like, I like that. It's like, that was good.
Then Owen goes, I feel that right here.
Yeah, I felt that right here.
He should have pointed to his butt. He had a car seat in it.
That's so funny. I've always really enjoyed how Wes Anderson always treats the children that he gives lines to with respect by giving them like actual intelligent things to say. Like children in all of his movies are never gimmicks. They're always, in most times too, more. Have more wisdom than the adults in most movies. Grace is probably the most sound-minded person in this whole movie. Luke Wilson's, Anthony's little sister, like she is very easily the most more. Well, obviously she's morally incorrupt because she's a child, but
it's almost just, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
There's so many of his movies too deal with characters who have daddy issues, and I think that has a lot to do with it too. But you know, it's always refreshing to watch his movies because the kids get lines, like the way that she dismissed her friend and was like, could you let us talk alone, please? And she's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, I think I'll be okay. Like, it was, I don't know. I've just always really enjoyed how he treats children in his movies.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you there, but the point I was going to make is that, like, children, it's almost like a Shakespearean tribute to children because, like, in all the Shakespeare plays, they had that, the soothsayer, I'm not sure, the orator, I guess is what they are. But it seems like children are the orators for his movies, kind of like, you know. I just had that kind of come to me.
He's a very literature-driven man, so I can understand if that would be his intention. I really enjoyed Dignan's retort about what Grace says and how it kind of like sends Anthony into a spiral. And he says, "What did she ever accomplish?"
Like, it's 8 years. Mom laughed at that too. We were just watching that part with me.
That was I had to pause the movie because I was laughing so hard I couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny. It's perfect, absolutely perfect delivery. It was incredible.
And again, I like as far as like character development.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a perfect short line that tells you everything you need to know about.
The hell does she know? That's so funny. There is also shades of his movies in this, but I don't think it's not as prominent. Like everything is not symmetry driven. There's like almost really none, but you can still see like aspects of what he would become in this movie, I think.
I think like I can't remember anything specific, but I do remember a lot of neat shots where it's just like a change perspective from you know, onto the characters, and then the camera will move, and it's like onto what they're actually looking at. I see
Right.
a lot of Wes in that, like
Yeah.
just from the angles and like how the shots move.
Right.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I just his camera work, Yeoman's camera work with Wes's direction. I mean, I don't know a better cameraman director duo over the course of 30 years because it's been the same guy
Mm-hmm.
every time. So, it's really cool to see where they started out because I'm pretty sure Yeoman is like 10 years older than Wes. So I'm sure he's probably a cameraman before Wes was around. He just finally found a director that enjoys directing the way that he. Yeah, Wes is like 53, I think, something like that. But I don't know why we just did. I don't know why I tangented like that. But um, the scene where Dignan storms out and calls off the gang, uh, and then comes back and is like, "I'm sorry. I'm under a lot of pressure right now." That seems really funny. And the way that Bob was like, grabs the gun and is like looking at it, and then he hears him come back and he like puts it right back on the table.
He paid for all
Yeah, he paid,
but he's
for
not
all-
allowed to touch it.
Yeah, it's such a specific thing too, and I think that's what makes it really funny. Is they're so specific towards what they uh, are trying to do. And I think that's what makes it so funny. Um, the next thing that I have here is the little tiff that he has with the bookstore owner or the bookstore manager, where he's like, I think he calls him an idiot, and he's like, "Don't call me an idiot, you punk," and it and so he's pauses for a second, and then he respectfully asks him if he has any larger bags that he could put it in, maybe bags that you put encyclopedias or dictionaries in. And they actually didn't have any, so he had to get it in a little bag.
I just love
was
that.
so
I mean, for the rest of the robbery they had there, he went from
Yeah.
being a screaming madman to like, "Thank you. Could you guys please,
Yeah, like on the way out. Yeah, on the way out, he's
Thank
like,
you guys so."
"Thanks, guys."
And he never got bigger bags, so they had like of these, I guess, like the size of like pet station bags, in apartments,
Yeah,
and full of money, and they had like 10 or 12 of them, and these little bags with money in them. It would have been easier to just take all the money out in their hands,
yeah,
but they're all in little bags. There's so many little screwball things like that. You can't mention them all, but it just keeps you smiling the whole way through.
they're so cute. This movie is like so cute while having such a like dark premise. Um, and then Dignan lying about the gang he's running with actually being a group of landscapers. But he's not wrong that they do crime later on. But the way that he tells the story is that he got fired for not doing the landscaping work because he didn't think that the fronts actually did the work that they were doing the front for. They didn't realize he actually had to run the business. Um, which is so funny.
So he was right. He actually was working for a crime boss that had
Yeah.
a lawn care business.
Yeah, but he
thought he was being hired to be a crook.
Yeah,
But they wanted him to be one of the guys they sleep with.
Yes,
That was so funny. All those irony.
it was really good, and the way that he learns, the way that the way that Anthony learns it is through Bob. It's not even through Dignan, and Dignan knows that he's lying. I also just wrote down on here that it was $1.05 per gallon in gas in Lowe's in Dallas. In the background, I saw that. That was really, really sad to look at. Um, Bob retorts in Spanish that he has a family emergency. He belts out this Spanish sentence about how he has to go home because he's got an emergency. It is so funny, and it's in a like Texas accent and everything. That killed me. I couldn't stop laughing at that. And then I enjoy the line, Bob's gone, he stole his car.
Yeah, he stole his car.
Bob's gone, he stole his car. Their relationship was really funny. The next note I have is Dignan misunderstanding Rocky telling Anthony I love him, and not understanding that. That was really funny.
Yeah, I thought he understood it. He was just being a jerk because he knew that he was jealous of
I think
Anthony's relationship with Inez, and I don't think even if he knew, he would have told him.
He forgot accidentally on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand.
But I think you're right. I just think he thought the boy told him.
Yeah, well, he's so stupid.
Yeah.
They've told him so stupid in this movie that you kind of have to like start to wonder if that's what they were going for.
But it makes you wonder if he actually, because when that happened, I thought he didn't tell him on purpose. I was like, oh, wait a minute. The poor guy was just too stupid to realize.
To realize what happened. He was like,
Yeah.
what? Because he turns around and he's like, what the hell is that about?
Yeah.
That was really funny. I liked Anthony's sketch of Ine. I thought it was really disturbing. It was like as like a 7-year-old drew a picture of someone. And then they get into that argument, and Anthony gets stuck in the face with a screwdriver over $500. But giving away $500 when you know you don't have a way of getting home is really stupid.
Again, no consequences.
Right. I want to point out that the name of their business was the Lawn Wranglers. It was really funny.
And his brother even makes the joke. It's like, you take care of Kemosabe or something like that. That was hilarious to me. Even though it's so mean. I just love the like bullies in movies. I just, it's true and it's honest, but when it's portrayed in the movie and you see how moronic and stupid it is, it always cracks me up for some reason.
I really liked it. He was really playing like a Scooter McGavin-esque bully.
And this isn't going to sound awful. You know the movie Karate Kid?
Yeah.
Like, I'll watch it now just because I get off on how much they pick on him at, like, the beginning of the movie. I'll like, hell yeah, give it to him, John.
Well, you should
You know what I mean?
you should watch the TV show they did on Netflix because it's all about Cobra Kai.
Yeah, mate.
It's
I don't
called
like
Cobra Kai. No, dude, you would love it.
I just love, like, when things are set up so black and white,
Yeah.
so vanilla, I just like to look at it from both sides. I still like the movie, don't get me wrong, but I like to make fun of it and like the movie at the same time. That's what I'm saying.
I think a lot of movies in the 80s are like worthy of being made fun of because they're just so contrived.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those old, big pop 80 movies. The scene where Ine and Anthony are talking on the phone, and Anthony gets to finally confirm that, like, that she said, "I love you" to him. Was really cute, I thought, where he was dancing in the middle of the party and screaming like out loud in the middle of the, "Oh my God, she likes me." Thought that was really cute. And then I also thought it was really cute when Dignan was being really overprotective of Kumar, making sure that he was getting through the heist okay. Getting him on the elevator specifically.
What was the other guy's name? Slapshot? No.
Applejack.
Applejack.
Kumar and Applejack.
Applejack is who we should have been worried about. I thought for sure Applejack got shot.
Yeah, no, he just had a heart attack because of the shot. The shot scared him so bad that he started to
I've just got to say and explain. No, I don't want to ruin it. No, I'm not, because there might be some people that haven't watched this movie. How they get caught, how
if they
people
watch this for 45 minutes and they don't want to, if they don't know the end of the movie and they've watched this podcast for 45 minutes through the plot synopsis and everything.
Yeah, I know. It's just one of the funniest, like, botched comedy criminal scenes I've ever seen. And at the end of this, when he does this heroic thing Dignan does and runs back in the building when they know the alarms are going off, the police are coming to rescue Applejack, who got stuck on the elevator having a heart attack. He gets him out.
Yeah.
Gets the keys out of Applejack's pocket, unlocks the van, puts him in there, and then Applejack passes out with the doors locked. And like he's been on the doors for 30 seconds before he could have run off still and still stay until the police got there, and then waits till they get there and get out of the car, and then leaves them on a chase and back into the freezer warehouse. That's the most moronic thing of Return of the Fence I've ever been. I could not stop laughing at that scene.
Oh my god, in this scene and before that, there's a part where Kumar is going down the elevator and he's sitting there coping with the fact that he couldn't get the safe open. He's just like, I've lost it. I've lost my touch. I don't know.
He never had it.
So now I'm also because he goes, you never had. I'm starting to think you never had it, Kumar.
But even then, you don't even know that it was a setup. You kind of got to had a feeling it was, but
I thought that was a really nice writing touch.
Mm-hmm. And then Applejack, I mean, what does he do? Why was he there? I mean, he's completely worthless.
And see, yeah.
I mean, he is. I mean, he looked like a bad.
Kumar was too, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just like.
I loved the scene too because it gives perspective to the country club scene where he's talking to Bob. Abe is talking to Bob, James Caan's character, and he's like, so you're telling me you don't play tennis, you don't play golf, why do you have a membership to the country club, Bob? He goes, well, you know, you just gotta sign the paper and then that's it. And it's like, that would be funny on its own, you know, and then to realize that it comes back to him where gets robbed later on. It's crazy. It's hilarious. And then Bob has no alibi because he was trying to rob someone else, you know, so he can't go to the police. It's a great writing. Honestly, it's a great like plot point, and it ties the movie in really well because it could have very easily just like not cared about that.
Yeah.
So good on that. Good on them for getting that written out because that was really funny. The Dignan just having this air of invincibility about him like throughout the whole movie was really funny, and then especially in that end scene was really funny too.
You know, like every character, it seems like in Wes Anderson movies, again, on this theme has some redeeming quality to him. Like, even though James Caan was like, you know, a crook and screwed him over at the end, at least he stood up to Bob's brother who bullied him around and, you know, as an adult still beat him up and stuff, which was so sad. But he stopped, you know, he confronted him and like got physical with him in the country club restaurant, and then they made him fun of him.
Yeah.
And, you know, it changed his situation too, Bob's situation at home.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I mean, that was one of the best feelings of the movie. To me, was when Bob's brother got rubbed up by James Caan.
Thought that was funny too.
And maybe I had to have been a coup to get him to do that movie too at the time.
Yeah, apparently they've gone on record to say that they tried to get Bill Murray to do it, but he wouldn't do it. But he did the next one. He did Rushmore, so yeah. I think Bob finding the quote, this is kind of tied to what we were just talking about, Bob gets told by his brother, Bob, you're just because you're a fuck up doesn't mean you're not my brother.
Right up there.
And that's he was like, I was honestly moved by that. The fact that he finds that endearing is so funny.
That's better than what he was getting. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's still a bad situation, but it's better than what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, even though Dignan is in jail in the movie, at least he's kind of like got some sense knocked into him.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna take away that invincibility that he felt, because he says in the movie like, I can't get caught. Yeah, so he needed that, honestly, probably. It's I have the note that it's hilarious that they feel accomplished at the end of the movie. They're in better spots, like head-wise, but they're not accomplished. They haven't accomplished anything, and that's the funny thing, is they are like, we did it. It's like, I didn't do anything. Like, and they're speaking to, like, overall, like, they're all in a better spot mentally, then sure, but like the saying we did it is implying that, like, they succeeded,
like doing something extraordinary.
Yeah.
I think they're just saying that we tried to do something.
I just
That's
think
what they're celebrating.
I just think they realize that they can't, like, be robbers, but that they're still proud of what they did. I don't think they have remorse for it. I think they're all still as stupid as they were when the movie started, but they just have a better understanding of what they can and can't do.
It's their condition.
Yeah, they basically just found out consequences.
Yeah, and their condition is just slightly better.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then when the credits hit, that song that played made me laugh. I have that noted too. It was like a really weird, like, cutesy song. But yeah. Those are my last thoughts. Do you have any more?
I don't really think so. I mean, there's not really too much that you can say about this movie. I mean, I don't think it's the kind of movie that's going to be for everybody. I mean, if you like nothing but
Sure, no. You do the, like, quirky stuff.
epic comic book type movies, it might not be your cup of tea. But if you like good conversation, good intricately woven stories, comedy, and you know, and it's not that long either. It's like a good 90 minutes, and it goes really fast too. It's entertaining, so I highly recommend it.
Yeah, me too. I really enjoyed it. So I'm actually gonna give it a 7.8. Thought it was good, but not, crazy great. But what were you gonna give it?
Yeah, I just gotta say, just from the story and the plot line, and just being interesting and captivating from beginning to end, is worth 6.5 in and of itself. But then it was a really good movie. I mean, even though it was independent and it was limited in scope, I still gave it a 75 myself.
So 15.3. So that means that we are going. Leap that thing. I hate the way that these things work. It'll go right into 13th spot, right in between Into the Wild and The Assassination of Jesse James. So
It's appropriate.
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it's definitely better than all these movies under it. And at least from my perspective. Oh my god. At least from my perspective. But
Well, somebody's gonna do like a stop frame of this show and see all the next 20 episodes.
no, this is all the 20 episodes we've already done. No, you can't.
I was saying, since you expanded your Excel spreadsheet.
I see. But yeah. This is another episode. It's been another episode of Finding New Films. Want to thank you for stopping by. If you guys made it to the end, we're about to go into promo hour. On Mondays, I do a show called F&F Self Tapes, which is the same exact format as this show, except there's no we. It's just I. It's just me doing solo reviews in the same exact format. I sit in that chair though, so it's different. Um, and then we have a new show called The Basement Tapes that we film on the couch that is about 5 feet to my right. That is me and Trevor, and we just talk about random things that we want to think about or that we have thought about, in the past 2 weeks or so, because that comes out about every other week. Upcoming, we have a new episode of FNF at the Films. He will be the first guest on FNF at the Films. We're going to be going to see Oppenheimer. So that'll be really fun. Very excited to see that movie.
That's a Nolan.
Yes, Chris Nolan. We're going to see Chris Nolan recreate the nuclear bomb, apparently.
The creation, yeah.
No, there's a explosion in the movie where he's on record as saying that he recreated a nuclear explosion for the movie. So we'll get to see how he violated war crime law. But Dad also has a show on our podcast network. It is Greg and Jeff Give the Hi-Hat. You guys are filming later tonight. You're gonna film.
Well, as you know, we're going transitioning to adding video to the podcast, and so we'll be putting out a just a little announcement of that, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then next Sunday we'll be back. We'll be back with a live show.
Yeah.
Sunday at midnight.
Yeah.
Or Saturday night at midnight, however you want.
Sunday at midnight.
Yeah. Technically Sunday at midnight. Well, let's say Saturday night at 11:59 p.m. Just so there won't be any confusion.
I'm gonna say Sunday at midnight. Not doing that. If you don't know what Sunday at midnight is, you're too stupid to listen to the podcast. How about that?
I'll never say that. I know my audience.
Yeah, I don't. I'm the producer over on that show. So you might hear my voice, you might not from time to time. You'll hear my influence for sure. I don't even know what that means. Also, on a personal note, I did write an article for a newly created website called movie.org. That's MUUVI.org. I wrote an article most recently about John Early's most recent comedy special, Now More Than Ever. I really enjoyed it, and if you would like to go read a word version of a review that I did, you can go over and do that. I'm gonna appreciate that. I am going to be writing 3 reviews for the first 3 episodes of Secret Invasion, probably as soon as I get off of this. So that'll be coming out soon. You can look for my written work there, and all of our visual work is here on our YouTube channel. You can follow us there, subscribe to that, like the videos, comment. I'm running out of time. Go follow us on Instagram, follow us on Threads, share everything. Thank you so much. We've been finding new films. Good night. Mwah.